Hi Brahmas, Mr. Desmond here with this week's video. This one is about searching for the right college, and of course searching for the right college and trying to minimize your stress levels as you do that. So when you are trying to come up with a college to apply to and colleges to apply to, the basic plan, I want you to have 3 levels of schools that you're applying to. Number 1 is your dream school. Dream schools, maybe 1 or 2 that you know they're really hard to get in, but you've always wanted to go there. Go ahead and apply there, no matter what I say, no matter what anybody says. Your second group is where most of your schools should be. Let's say 3, 4, 5 schools, and that's schools that, based on your research, you've got pretty good chance of getting in. No guarantees, but pretty good chance of getting in, and you think it's a really good school for you. And then the third one is slam dunk guarantee. I'm going to get in here no matter what. It's a guarantee. For those, you've got to do some research to figure out what is guaranteed. So one place that I like to go for research is collegeboard.org. I'm not paid by them or anything. I just like the way they have a lot of this information pretty readily accessible. But you can get this information on all sorts of websites. But one piece of information that gives you an indication of how competitive a school would be for you is your GPA. So there's one part missing on this. I don't know why, but the 3.75 and higher should say 33% right here. So the way I would use this information, if your weighted GPA right now is a 3.8, well then you're in that top group. Now, does that mean you're guaranteed to get in? No, but it means that you've got an advantage over 67% of the kids who have gotten into that school. So you're looking pretty good. Now, let's say your GPA was 3.2. Does that mean you're not getting in? No, you still have a good chance, but you've got 67% or 70% of the kids, 71% of the kids who got into that school had a higher GPA than you. So that just kind of helps you see how competitive it would be, how difficult it would be for you. Another thing to look at is your SAT and ACT scores. And these are always listed as the middle 50%. What that means is this is the score range for the middle 50% of kids who got in. That means 25% of the kids who got into this school had lower than this score. And 25% of the kids who got into the school had higher than this score. So if let's say you got an 1130 on the SAT, you would be right in that middle 50%. Good solid chance of getting in, you're competitive. Let's say you got a 1300. Oh, that's above. That means you're above or in that top 25%, but that's just one factor. It does not mean you're guaranteed to get in. And same thing, let's say you have a 900. Does that mean you're not getting into that school? No, it just means you've got 75% of the people who got in had a higher score. So you just factor that into how tough it would be for you. And then one last thing, I hesitate to even mention this, but it is another thing that people look at, rank. And it's just something, class rank is just something to give you a feel for how competitive a school is. So what I would look at, 22% of the kids who got into this particular school were in the top 10% of their class. Okay, so it's not a requirement to be way up there at this school, but you better be in the top half of your class because 93% who got into the school were in the top half of their class, okay? So all these things, GPA, SAT, rank, they're all just indicators, all just to give you a little information about how challenging it is to get into that school. And I want to say a couple things. Number 1, Diamond Bar does not weigh our GPAs. Weighing is when you give an extra bonus point to an AP class or some honors classes. And sometimes people hear that and they panic and they say, you don't weigh, you're gonna mess me up for college. But I guarantee it will never hurt you. And actually, I've talked to Harvard and Yale admissions officers from some of these great schools. And I've said, is there any negative to the fact that we don't weigh our grades? And they say, no, we actually prefer the way you guys do it to some of those other schools who do, because they kind of make up their own rules. And we want to put it together based on our rules. So they will give you the credit for all those AP and honors classes you're taking on their end. Once you apply, they'll adjust, and so you'll get the credit. Another thing about rankings, a different kind of rankings, sometimes people fall in love with those lists about university rankings. Oh, these are the top 25 engineering schools. These are the top 50 biology schools. Those lists are fine and they're easy for quick information, but you want to be careful with those, because whoever made that list, it's ultimately just a person or a committee, but they may not have the same criteria that you have. They may not feel as strongly about some things, and they may have some things that they feel very strongly about that you don't care about. So for example, they might say, oh, we've got a low student to faculty ratio, and so that pushes this school way up in our rankings. But you may say, I don't care. I know when I get to my major classes, I'm going to have that close bond, and so some of my lower underclassmen or lower level classes are going to be maybe a little more crowded, but that's fine with me. And so you want to be careful about those rankings. And then you also want to remember there's a whole world out there beyond number 100. So for example, I just looked up a random major, business major. I typed in top 100 business majors at universities. And I found this list, and there are a lot of great schools there. But then I started looking after number 100. Who was there? UC San Diego, University of Virginia, University of Washington, Georgetown, all these great schools. And so it's just a reminder, just because somebody isn't on some person's list for the top 100 or the top 50, doesn't mean it won't be a great school for you, okay? And ultimately, when we think of rank and GPA and SAT, what can you control? You can only do your best. So don't go nuts over this. Just use it all as information to help you decide which schools might be right for you. And then you want to start thinking about the right fit for you. And this is something we'll talk a lot more about later on, but these are some factors I always want you to consider. Distance from home. There's a big difference between a car ride from home and a plane ride from home. You know, living in Ohio versus living in San Luis Obispo. The surrounding area. Some schools are great, and then you go off campus and you walk around the neighborhood and you think, oh, this isn't quite for me. The size of the campus population. There are some massive schools, gigantic schools. There are some universities that are smaller than Diamond Bar High School. So you want to really think about where you want to be. The campus atmosphere, the vibe, what's important to the students there. The opportunities for your major, specifics about your major. Maybe there are some really cool internships or connections or programs within your major that you really like. And I always respect kids who, when I say, why do you like that school? They say, oh, well, I really like this program or this program. It's great. And then don't forget about weather. Sometimes people fall in love with a list and they say, oh, I'm applying to this school because it's number 17. They don't even know what state the university is in, and they've never thought about what it would be like to live in snow. Come on, let's use our brains. Okay, a good place to research some of these things is, again, collegeboard.org. This is their college search page, and they have all these filters. Type of school, private or public, location, rural or urban, and then location, you can also say, I want to be within 100 miles of Diamond Bar High School because my parents really want to see me more often. That's fine. You can factor all that in and see a list of the possible schools for you. And then this is another good site. This is unigo.com. And this is basically features a bunch of reviews from students who actually go to these schools. And so you can see some of the kind of information you would get. What's unique about your campus? What kind of person should not attend this school? Now, you have to take all of this with a grain of salt. It's like Yelp reviews. And so some people are bitter and some people are overly ecstatic, but it does give you a sense of what people are talking about with a certain school. And then we go back to our list. And again, dream school, no matter what I say or what anybody says about your chances, if that's your dream school, then you should apply there. Good solid chance school, you've got to have research. You've got to really think about, based on your research, I do have a good chance. And then your slam dunk guarantee schools, the last thing I will say about that is don't make the mistake of having your guarantee school be a school that you wouldn't be happy in. You should be able to find a school that you think you can get into that you would enjoy. But if you can't, then your guarantee school is Mount Sac or Fullerton Community College, and that's fine. That has several kids have had that as their backup. They don't get into the schools they wanted to get into. They go to Mount Sac, they get a great education, they save a little money for a couple years, and then hopefully they transfer into one of those schools they really wanted to get into. So, as we think about this, there's one big question as you're thinking about location and where to go. Should I stay or should I go? Darling, you've got to let me know. Should I stay or should I go? If you say that you are mine, I'll be here till the end of time. So come on and let me know. Should I stay or should I go? It's always tease, tease, tease. You're happy when I'm on my knees. One day is fine, the next is black. So if you want me off your back, well come on and let me know. Should I stay or should I go? Should I stay or should I go now? Should I stay or should I go now? If I go now, we'll be in trouble. If I stay, we'll be in trouble. So come on and let me know. This indecision's bugging me. If you don't want me, set me free. Exactly who am I supposed to be? Don't know which clothes even fit me. Well, come on and let me know. Should I cool it or should I blow? Split. Should I stay or should I go now? Should I stay or should I go now? If I go, there will be trouble. If I stay, there will be double. So come on and let me know. All right, promise. Rock on. Have a great week. Take care of your families.